be seen. Carl, who is also my brother Rabbit, sits his days and nights away at 4121 Wilson Avenue at least 5 times a week after working his maintenance job at NASA, or when he is not fishing or near to the water where he loves to be. 4,015 days past the water, beyond all news cycles known to man, still sits a skinny man in shorts, white socks pulled up to his kneecaps, one gold picture frame around his front tooth. Sometimes you can find Carl alone on our lot, poised on an ice chest, searching the view as if for a sign, as if for a wonder, or else seated at a pecan-colored dining table with intricately carved legs, holding court. The table where Carl sometimes sits is on the spot where our living room used to be, but where instead of floor, there is green grass trying to grow. See Carl gesturing with a long arm if he feels like it, wearing dark shades even if it is night. See Rabbit with his legs crossed at the ankle, a long-legged man knotted up. I can see him there now, in my mind's eye, silent and holding a beer, babysitting ruins. But that is not his language or sentiment. He would never betray the yellow house like that. Carl often finds company on Wilson Avenue where he keeps watch. Friends will arrive and pop their trunks, revealing coolers containing spirits on ice. Help yourself, baby, they will say. If someone has to pee, they do it in what used to be our den. Or they use the bright blue porta potty sitting at the back of the yard where the shed once was. Now, this plastic vertical bathroom is the only structure on the lot, written on its front in white block letters on black background, City of New Orleans. And then one other very short piece which matters so much to me. My mother, Ivory May, bought the yellow house in 1961 when she was 19 years old. It was her first and only house. Within its walls, my mother made her world. 12 children passed through its doors, descendants of Ivory May Broom and her first husband, Edward Webb, of Ivory May Broom and Simon Broom, and of Simon Broom and his first wife, Carrie Howard Broom. We are Simon Jr., Deborah, Valeria, Eddie, Michael, Darrell, Carl, Karen, Troy, Byron, Lynette, and Sarah. We span the generations, born to every decade, beginning in the 40s. I arrived 10 hours before the 80s. When you are the babyest in a family with 11 older points of view, 11 disparate rallying cries, 11 demanding and pay attention to me voices, all variations of the communal story, developing your own becomes a matter of survival. There can be, in this scenario, no neutral ground. So part of for me, the book is a kind of innate musicality. And there are moments in the book where I'm sort of all over the map in terms of language, and that reminds me so much of Lil Wayne and his kind of range and the way he sort of plays with language, and also his kind of, the way he loves New Orleans, but also like talks about it in a real and complicated and nuanced way. And there are moments, I think, where I feel he's sort of wilding out in the language, and I feel myself doing that. And also the way in which a single song can contain many different kinds of music in it. And that is, to me, the key to what New Orleans is. And that's why I resist thinking about the city, which is somehow one way or narrow or unidimensional. You know, I'm really interested in the ways in which we tell all the stories of the people who are making the sort of mythology of the place happen, of the people who travel to the French Quarter every single day and work in those restaurants and are the hotel people and are in the car rental lot moving cars for tourists. You know, I'm interested in their lives. And so for me, Lil Wayne like represents all of that, and I listen to him whenever I need to get really like get a lot of courage, you know. Yeah, yeah. So he's reminding me that I said something like he was the voice of my family, and that he contains many different voices. Yeah.
The structure of it, which is not necessarily this sort of straightforward memoir type thing, but it's structured like something Mozart might have done. It's these wonderful movements, and you know the way that the pitch sort of changes and the dynamics of it. You have codas and you have just so much going on. How did you do it? I keep asking myself, how did you do it?
Well, that's for me to know. So, no, the movements are key for me because, okay, so I was asking myself the question, if I'm a New Orleanian and I'm from a very innately musical place, how do I have music in the book without being sort of cheesy and corny, right? And so how is music baked into the actual structure? And so for me, movements became, movements are musical, as we know, symphonic, and then they're also about literal movement. So within the book, there's all this movement to different places. There's my family's sort of displacement and migration. There's my own returning home and leaving it. There's this kind of way that I'm not sure where I want to be. But then musically, I was thinking a lot about the way if you go and you're at an orchestra or you're watching a symphony, each of the movements is like a contained thing. So you could technically just listen to the one part and walk away. But over time, and each movement is doing something so different at times, right? It has such a different sound or rhythm or pace. Many things can be contained in the one movement. But if you really listen and you stay with it, by the end, it sort of rises to this great crescendo, and it becomes overwhelming and it overpowers you because all of the elements come together. And so I saw that book, which I'm now calling it, in that way, that it sort of built upon itself. And that structurally, it's like if you were building a house, what are the elements of the house? So in my book, which is a kind of house, music is like